You've heard of fastpass, you may have even heard of Lightning Lane, and now we have Lightning Lane Premier Pass, the latest product in Disney's ever-growing arsenal of extra cost add-ons in an attempt to get you to pay more for what effectively amounts to the same or similar Walt Disney World experience 20 plus years and counting. How much more, you ask? Try $400 more for immediate one-time skip-the-line access per person, depending on the day and the park you end up visiting. Let's talk about the latest company cash grab selling out 9 days in a row here on That Park Place. We've talked about theme park pricing. We've talked about how they've increased the prices for a lot of these extra add-ons that were once included, right? One of the most notable definitely being Premier Pass. This by www.magic.com. Magic Kingdom's Lightning Lane Premier Pass sells out for 9 consecutive days. This one day ago, for the first time since its launch, Lightning Lane Premier Pass at Magic Kingdom has sold out for more than a week straight, covering February 11th through February 19th. This 9-day sellout streak highlights growing demand for the pass, even on non-holiday dates and outside of peak spring break periods. During the stretch, the lowest price was $329, with a highest of $399. Historically, the Premier Pass in Magic Kingdom has ranged from $329 to $449, meaning none of these sold-out dates have hit the current all-time high. You can kind of see just how much selling out there has been right here with these graphs. I'm not a huge expert on the visitation patterns of Walt Disney World. I know it's changed a lot over the last 5 years or so. What would convince anybody to go with this specific pass, the most expensive skip-the-line option that you can possibly have outside of VIP tours, in this stretch of February? Guys, do we know what's going on here?
I think it's just a matter of they think they're being convinced that they need this. I think Disney is doing a good job of trying to convince you that if you don't do this, then you're not going to be able to experience the parks in a proper way. That's my best guess. Is the people that are going are typically pretty rich and they see this as a must-have, and so they're doing it. And they're probably going to find out very quickly as they do it that they didn't need to do it.
I would think so. Culture, could you ever be convinced to buy any one of these, especially at the rates that they're selling them at?
No. Why would I? To be fair, the attraction count in the theme parks for Disney has been going down steadily. They're about to eliminate several more attractions to replace it with one giant ugly rock pile where there used to be a beautiful, wonderful area simulating a river. With steamboats and lots of other beautiful kinetic things. So they're constantly reducing attraction count and trying to live within the existing boundaries of the park for no reason that I can think of. They need to work on their infrastructure. This is the perfect time to develop more infrastructure by building the outside ring of attractions that they have space for at all of their parks, including Epcot. Like I said, Disney only destroys right now. They do not add. That's a mantra of all Marxism.
I have a question. Do travel agents make more when a guest gets the Lightning Lane Premium Pass?
Probably,
right? So I would bet you a lot of travel agents right now are pushing this as well. If you don't do this, because I found when speaking to travel agents in the past, a lot of people that go to them have no idea what they're doing when it comes to Disney, and they take the travel agent at their word. So, I could absolutely see travel agents try to push this because it gets them bigger commission and, just boosts up the price of that vacation.
Well, and this is the issue that Disney faces with this whole theme park operation of theirs, is because attendance has been going down. We actually saw that in fiscal year 2025 Q1. Recently, these earning results that were just posted, it's stated that domestic parks attendance was down, I think by like 2%, but spending was up. That per cap was up by 4%. And it's like, well, how can that be? This is why they're adding in services like this in order to shore up or offset that falling attendance right there. That's a huge trap. And that's going to hurt your intent to return metric. But, for managers, for people who aren't going to be there that long, hey, you know what? We'll go ahead and we'll take the hit now, and those consequences, those pesky consequences, we won't suffer them because we'll be gone from the company by that point. Here's what WW Magic has to say on this specific issue and why this sellout trend might be happening. They say that holiday dates are in the mix. The sold out period includes Valentine's Day and President's Day, both of which bring higher attendance to Magic Kingdom. Perhaps, but again, this is 9 days. Expand availability to all guests. Sure, they previously it was limited to just deluxe guests who could buy into the system. Now it's everybody going to Walt Disney World. Maybe. Not a traditional spring break window. Fair. Strong value at lower price points. Oh, I don't know about value. Like Culture said, we were going over the power outage story that recently hit Magic Kingdom, and 15 attractions were down. That is a lot. Like, that is almost every single attraction in Magic Kingdom down because of those issues. What I was surprised at, though, was that number and how, that covered more than 80% of the park versus like Disneyland, for example. I'm used to like 40 plus attractions being in a single park. So it's if you have something like Disneyland Resort where you have a Premier Pass option and you sell it and you get both parks included with that, maybe you can justify that price point. But for something like Animal Kingdom, it makes no sense, which is why we've never seen it sold out at that specific park. For Magic Kingdom, it's not much better. But I guess when you have a lot of refurbishments going on, which they do, like Big Thunder, for example, rocket jets, all that, maybe it makes more sense. I just don't know.
Well, the other thing in January, February, you've got Run Disney events, but you also got the cheerleading competition, which brings a lot of people into the parks. I believe that happens in February, at least.
Yes. There are several different ones, actually. Don't let them fool you. Yeah.
It's always the worst when you show up on a weekend day in February and you look around and you're like, oh no. There were two things that are terrible to find out when you're there. One is that you happen to be there on a cheerleading weekend because it's just overrun. And the other is when you are driving in and you see the porta potties set up on the side of the road, signaling that it is a race weekend and you did not know. Nope. Not the worst thing to discover. The worst thing to discover accidentally is when you show up and there are people in formal wear because you didn't know it was Dapper Day.
Oh, I would have thought it was everybody's dressed up like a bonobo monkey or something with weird rainbow colors.
Yeah, of all the Disney things, Dapper Day is the most obnoxious.
All right.
Because the fans are that like love Dapper Day are like the worst people I have ever met. Like they were just the worst, and it's just the very concept is just stupid. Let's go be really uncomfortable for an afternoon. I'm sorry, I hate it. I think it's the dumbest thing ever. But yes,
I think it makes more sense at a park like Disneyland, which fits the time period, at least when it opened.
I'll just say thank you, Marvin, for calling me obnoxious and silly.
You're not one of the people that goes nuts about it.
Okay.
You don't go calling yourself a dapper darling or whatever the heck.
I used to. So calm down.
Maybe we all used to be obnoxious, Culture. I used to be obnoxious.
Well, speaking of obnoxious, I think the worst thing when you arrive at the park and you didn't know, Culture, you know about this, when you have yourself a red shirt on, and it just happens to be a particular day at Disneyland.
When you've worn a red shirt on the wrong day to wear a red shirt.
Look it up. If you're not familiar with that, it's I'll say this: if you're a handsome looking fella and you wear red on the wrong day, well,
you might get hit on a lot.
You might get hit on a lot. Yeah, exactly. Very, very interesting. Look, Premier Pass, we don't recommend it, folks. To be honest with you, you can, even with Multipass Lightning Lane, is a much better option depending on how you use it. But if you are really strategic about your visits, you can get around having to buy any of these services. I understand if you're there for one day, especially at Disneyland, for example, you just want to go ahead and maximize on your time there. Maybe it makes sense, but everybody else, I'm just not buying it.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.